Hello everyone, I am back with more of my life story. Today I'm going to be talking about how my appetite increased over the years and how it all got started. When I was a little girl between the ages of, I would say, a baby and 7 years old, my appetite was really normal, probably below normal considering my aunt thought that I wasn't eating enough. So she decided when I was about 7 or 8 years old to take me to this doctor to get me some pills to increase my appetite. Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because later on, a year or two later, she was trying to lock up the refrigerator because it started me eating and eating and eating. And the bad part about it was, well, it really wasn't bad. She was doing the best that she knew how to do. But in the mornings before I would go to school, she would have this huge breakfast for me with toast and oatmeal and chocolate, cocoa, and she would make sure that I ate every bit of it. She would even go as far as standing over me with a belt across her shoulder. She never hit me with it, but I didn't take no chances, so I ate up all the food. And I would go to school so lethargic, I just wanted to go to sleep. But she thought that that was healthy for me to have a full meal before I went to school, which I could have eaten a little bit of something, but she was big into feeding me lots of food and made me eat it. So it didn't take long for that habit to catch on. And now I'm off and running, eating everything in sight. She was even wanting to lock the refrigerator up. It got so bad. But I blame it all on her. She thought she was doing the best thing for me, but she really wasn't. So, make a long story short, I have struggled with my appetite for many, many, many years. I will be 80 years old in November. And back in 2012, I weighed myself and I was weighing 260 pounds, which was a lot of weight, especially on my knees, and my whole body was like bringing up 50 pounds of potatoes every time I walk up the steps. So I have been in and out of programs, you name it, I've probably been there, from fasting to half-starving myself, Overeaters Anonymous, Weight Watchers, just to name a couple of them. I've been to so many, and I've been to Weight Watchers probably about 6 different times. The first time it worked really well for me, but the second time it wasn't so good, and each time I went, it was like the same old thing again, but I'm here trying. But I didn't really have any success in all of that. And I'm sharing this because I know that there's other people out there that's struggling with weight and overeating. I'll tell you, when I was pregnant with my second child, well, my first child, I lived in the country. I grew up in Houston, Texas, but I moved to East Bernard, Texas. And I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables when I was there. So I didn't have any complications or problems. I didn't have any. She was fine when she was born. But with my second child, I was back at home with Mama and eating a dozen of donuts a day, 6 bottles of Coke. I didn't realize I was a drug addict back then, but I was. One moment. Alrighty, I am back. Yeah, my great aunt was a beautiful woman. She made sure that I learned how to treat people, love, and receive love, give love, not talk about people, not go to anytime we went to someone else's house, she had already told me, if they offer you food, say no. We eat at home. Unless we were going to visit our relatives or something and it was a special occasion where I would be eating. Otherwise, you don't accept the food. So I grew up like that. I mean, they might have had something I really, really wanted, but I had been told already, don't accept the food. So I obeyed her. And but when she took me to the doctor to get my appetite started, he gave her some type of pills. I don't remember the name of them because I was too young to remember, but they really did give me an appetite. And I was eating everything in sight. And I especially loved sweets. That was my big weakness, was sweet foods. I remember we had a little corner store about a half a block from where I lived, and I would go there and buy these moon cookies. They were big round cookies, and I would eat around the man in the moon, and then I would eat the man. So, and I drank soda all the time. I didn't drink much water back then. I just did not, because water wasn't sweet. It didn't taste that great, and I wasn't interested in water. But, and my great aunt was pretty deep into sugar herself, so that's why she didn't think to keep me away from it, because she was into it herself. I mean, she could sit down and eat she could eat a pint of ice cream in one sitting, and she loved her ice cream. And she didn't smoke, she didn't drink, she didn't even drink coffee, but she had her tea, and she would always load it up with sugar. And but back to my son, my second child, when I was pregnant with him, I almost destroyed the poor boy because I was consuming so much. My daughter was about 4.5, and I would go to this place called Dunkin' Donut, not Dunkin' Donuts, that's what we have here in the Midwest, but in Houston we had Shipley Donuts, and they were very good and very deadly, because they would fry them in deep oil. And I would take my daughter with me. I would buy 2 dozen donuts. Now, this is a true story. I would eat my dozen and half of hers. And this was happening in a day. I mean, it's a miracle that I'm still alive. And it's another miracle that I'm not diabetic. I don't take any type of medication. It's just a miracle. I must have been born with some mighty strong genes to keep me afloat. But in the meantime, I always had lots of fruits and vegetables, because where I grew up, there were mulberry trees, persimmon trees, fig trees, pear trees, apple trees, and we had 2 large pomegranate trees in our yard. So there was always fruit around, plus going to the store would buy fruit also. It's just a miracle. But my son, when he was born, I know before he was born, he used to move in my stomach all the time. He would ball up in a knot, and I would have to rub my stomach to make him move. And he would kick, and poor baby was having a hyperactive fit in my stomach. And when he was born, beautiful little boy, and I wanted a boy so bad, never wanted girls because I didn't want girls to be like me when I was growing up. But that's another story. But anyway, he would not sleep no longer than 1 hour a night, through the night. And he did that until he was about 7 or 8 months old. I mean, he would wake up for a bottle. Because I tried breastfeeding him, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And he was one of those that would suck so hard it would almost tear your breasts off. So I say, no, breastfeeding is not for me. I wish I had, but he still would have been getting all the poisons that I was eating at that time. So he was bottle fed. I remember one night I woke up because I'd be sleepy. You know, baby waking up every hour, that's kind of rough on a mama. And I woke up one morning and he had dried milk in his ear. I had missed his mouth and stuck the bottle in his ear. One moment. And so over the period of time, I began to gain weight. I never was a huge child, but I was a chunky child. And I got teased at school because back then everybody pretty much was skinny. And there was no fat children like there are today. And I wasn't one of those kind of fat children either. I just had a little bit more flesh than the rest of them had. Some of them were kind of heavy, but not overly like we see today. And I was called big hunk of cheese and all that kind of stuff. But I felt really bad about it, but I could not stop eating. I mean, I didn't even realize that it was a problem. So after I got older, I'll say around 18, 19 years old, I lost a few pounds, 10 or 15 pounds here and there. But over the years, I gained it all back. And like I say, I got up to, at least 260 pounds. It might have been 265. And that was in 2012 when I wrote, because I like to journal things, and I have that written down in one of my books. So that's when I really started going to all of these different programs. And I did get something out of each one that I attended. But it wasn't until, I would say, well, I did get down to like 200 pounds when that was back in 1990, 1991. I was at 200 pounds even. And that's when I moved to Wisconsin. And I kind of let go and started gaining weight from there. I was cooking. I had a bunch of kids, and because I had 2 of my own, and then I raised 2 of my grandchildren, and then we adopted 3 boys. They were from the same mother. When they were babies, the oldest one was 2 weeks from his 2nd birthday when we brought him home. And she had another one. He was 17 weeks old when we brought him home. And then she had another boy, and he was 9 weeks old when we brought him home. So I was busy cooking and cleaning and cooking. And my husband and I had decided not to let the children go to public school because these were crack babies, and we didn't want them to have any problems. And we're in an area where they might have had problems in school. Probably would have had problems anyway, regardless of what area we would be in. So we worked different shifts. So we didn't have a babysitter. So I homeschooled them. They've turned out really great boys, all 3 of them. But I was gaining a lot of weight hanging in the kitchen too much. And then I was working in a food industry, and I was eating there. I had the habit so bad. When we would make cookies, I would actually go get a cookie and put it in my pocket and go sit in the bathroom and eat it. Now, that's really bad when you can go in the bathroom. You go into the bathroom to use it, but you got to take a cookie with you so you can snack on it while you're in there. But over the years, I have really gotten all of that under control, and I will share that with you guys at a later date, because I don't want to spill all the beans from the very beginning of this, because I think it's so important. There's so many people out there right now having horrible issues with weight, and I feel so sorry for them, especially the young ones when they start off so young and they don't know any better, but the parents just keep giving it to them and thinking that it's okay. And now that we're all into all this fast food, like I won't name the companies, but where you're buying burgers and fries and milkshakes and ice cream, and all of that is so very detrimental to children's health. And I'm going to take a little break, and I will return. Alrighty, I am back, and I just wanted to add to this while I'm talking about it, how if your children leave food on the plate, it's best to just set it aside and let them eat it later rather than make them eat all of it right then, because that is so destructive to them, because then they feel like they got to clean up everything on their plate. Actually, I used to be eating, many years I've done this. I don't do it anymore. But I would be eating one plate full of food, and constantly eating while thinking about the next plate I was going to get. So I really wasn't enjoying that first plate. I was just getting it down so I could hurry up and get to the next plate, which was insane, but I've done some insane things when it comes down to eating. And I'm the first to admit it, because I'm hoping that this will help somebody somewhere out there. And especially when it comes down to your precious children. They don't have no guidance or no cutoff, so they don't know that the food that they're consuming is bad for them. It's up to us to lead and guide them in everything that they do, and especially the food. And it's so, when I have my grandchildren here and they can't eat all their food, I don't force them to eat their food. I tell them that they have to eat it. I don't like throwing food away. I don't like to throw anything away, because I was raised like that. No, don't throw anything away. I will put it in the little oven, or cover it up with a container, put it in a container and cover it up. And when they get hungry again, then we go get that food and we finish it. Now, I will do that. I don't like to say, okay, you got half of your plate left. We can just throw that away, because I don't think that's a good way to raise children, and it's definitely not a good way on my pocket. I want to make sure that they eat what they have on their plates, even if they do have to make a second round and finish it up. And they're okay with that. They don't mind. They tell me, can I eat this later? And I say yes. But it's so crucial to teach them while they're young how to eat, what to eat. Because I didn't know what I was eating was destroying me. Even though I was an adult, I had a child already. And here I am drinking 6 Cokes. And when I say I was drinking 6 Cokes, I was actually drinking 6 Cokes a day. And back then, they had cocaine in them, and I didn't even know that. You know, I had no idea. Plus, I was smoking and smoked cigarettes at the time, too. So my poor child, he has struggled with drug addiction because it started when I was carrying him. It wasn't his fault. I feel sorry for him this day because I know I destroyed my child inside me. But I did it out of ignorance because I didn't know any better. I didn't have sense enough to realize that whatever I was consuming, my child was consuming. I mean, it almost makes me want to cry right now to think about it because I was that dumb. I did not know. So when you don't know something, you just don't know. Because there's no way I would have done that to my son or any of my children if I had known, but I didn't know. So I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that has gone through this. I'm not the only one that have eaten, consumed things that didn't think about how it was going to affect your unborn child. But it's very bad for them. So I'm hoping that this video will reach and touch someone or someone's and help them to realize that they need to study what you're eating and how it's how it's harming your unborn child. So I will be doing more of these type of videos because I think they're very, very important. But I'm going to sign off with this one now. If you guys have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And please share, like, and hit the notification button so you'll know when I have another video coming up. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your time. Peace and love to you. Later.